with all the money being printed, the asset class in the world that I prefer at the moment would be commodities because they're cheap when everything else is booming. I do own stocks. I do own stocks in places like China, Russia, Japan, other places. But I'm not rushing out to buy unless I find something really good. Nearly every government, every central bank in the world has been printing huge amounts of money and borrowing and spending huge amounts of money. It's never happened like this in the history of the world. Never in recorded history have we seen so much excess. I'll call it excess. They think it's normal. They think it's fine. And this has caused many markets to go up a lot. You know, if you want to build a bridge, it takes a long time. But if you want to invest and you have a lot of money floating around, you just go on the internet and in 5 seconds you can invest in anything you want to. And that's what's been happening, and that's what's continuing to happen. There might be signs that's beginning to slow down. The Chinese seem to be cutting back some, not a lot. Well, not a lot, but they're cutting back. They're not expanding. Other countries say they're cutting back. And the U.S. says, oh, maybe we should cut back someday. But in the meantime, there's gigantic amounts of money floating around. It's going into markets. It's going into the real economy as well. It's artificial. If you see some of the things that, you know, the shipping business is just unbelievably hot right now because there's so much money floating around. The bad news is these things always end, and the better they get, the worse they get when they end. And as I said, we've never seen anything like this in recorded history, so be worried. I'm not short. I haven't sold short anything, but I am certainly worried.
Talked to many real estate agents here in Arizona and said, oh, don't worry, you know, interest rates are going up and all this stuff, but don't worry, Arizona is hot. That's true because the people are migrating out of California, Chicago, New York, and now Florida, they're moving here, you know. So Arizona is good. So on the micro scale, these real estate agents are accurate. They're going, yeah, I don't have to worry, man, I live in Arizona. So that's having your head up your ass as far as I'm concerned, because you can't see the macro. And when you look at the macro, the whole world is collapsing around them. And it's going to be good for Arizona, maybe because people will move here and all this stuff. Well, let's say that China whacks Taiwan. Well, that's good for me in Hawaii because all the Taiwanese will move to either California, Arizona, or Hawaii. So that's micro and macro. So let me give a definition of micro is you got your head up your ass. You better stand around and take a look at what's going on.
As I look around the world, bonds are clearly in a bubble. Bonds have never been this expensive in the history of the world, not in recorded history anyway. Property in many places, you go to Korea, you go to New Zealand, you go many places, property is certainly in a bubble. Stocks, many stocks. I mean, Amazon goes up every day. Tencent goes up every day. Samsung goes up every day. So some stocks performing a bubble, but many stocks are still not up. So it's not a complete bubble yet. So there you have stocks, property, bonds, all in bubbles or forming bubbles. The only thing that's still cheap, commodities. Silver is down 60% from its all-time high. Sugar is down 70% from its all-time high. Oil is down 50%. I mean, these are not bubble numbers when you talk about big declines, historic declines. But with all the money being printed, the asset class in the world that I prefer at the moment would be commodities because they're cheap when everything else is booming. I do own stocks. I do own stocks in places like China, Russia, Japan, other places. But I'm not rushing out to buy unless I find something really good.
Americans can't see past their house. You know, micro is this. You're standing you're pumping gas into your lease SUV, and you're going, why is the price of oil going up? That's micro. I mean, they can't see it. But inflation, I'm afraid, is systemic now. And a lot of it is because with creditism, they just print so much money. Instead of solving the problems, they print money. And now it's going to backfire on everybody.
What comes after trillions? They've already gotten into trillions, which you and I never could have conceived of. Most people could not have conceived of, but they don't want to stop. So I'm wondering what's after trillions? We're going to learn new languages, new vocabulary here in the next year or two if they keep going the way they're going. Well, I said, I'm not sure. I know it's going to end badly. If something comes along that's good, I'll buy it. But I know this is going to end very, very, very badly. To repeat, the better it gets, the worse it's going to get when it comes to an end. I would suspect that when it ends, we're going to have the worst bear market in my lifetime. In 2008, we had a big bear market problem because of too much debt. Since 2008, the debt everywhere skyrocketed, unbelievable. Even China has debt now. China didn't have debt 20 years ago, 15 years ago, but even China has a lot of debt now. Who's going to save us? The Chinese saved us in 2009 because they had a lot of money saved for a rainy day and they started spending it. They don't have a lot of money to spend now. Who's going to save us? North Korea?
Especially today in this insane world, and it is insane, that you better have more education, not less. And the worst thing to do is do nothing because you're confused. You make up your mind either way, either in or you're out. Well, what I mean by in or out, are you in education or are you out of it? And the reason for that is in every investment, there's the macro and the micro. You can't have macro without micro. We can't have micro without macro. The other reason you need more education, not less, is because real estate is illiquid. And it's not like a stock or a bond or a mutual fund or a 401k. And this is deja vu all over again. This is 2000 and 2008 all over again. And not to confuse people, but there's a thing called the repo market and reverse repo market. And those things are coming apart at the seams. Now, most people will say, oh, good, I'm going to stay out of real estate. When it's really the best time to get into real estate, but you'd better be educated.
Baby boomers, 46 to 64 age group, we're set to retire, and the boomers had it the easiest of all generations. You know, when we came out of college and high school, we put money in the stock market, everything went up. We bought houses, everything went up, and now it's about to come down.